Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this wonderful Wednesday. I'm here with the Sensational Six, and let me tell you, today I can say honestly for everyone here, we are on such a natural high, and we'll get into that a little bit. But right now, I'd like to do an opening prayer. So know with me in this moment, as I take this breath, inhaling, exhaling, relaxing. And this is what I know right here and right now, that the spirit in action of law is always happening. Right now is the perfect moment in time. Life unfolds perfectly. Life is expressed through each and every one of us here. And so in that knowing, I claim the truth right here and right now. That this day, this moment, my mind is open and receptive to new ideas, to new understandings of that power of the law of cause and effect. The effect of this moment was the cause from something else. And that something else is that internal knowingness within each and every one of us. That internal flame, that internal power, that eternal life. I am so grateful for today that as we have this conversation, minds are open, hearts are open. A new way of seeing life unfolding as nothing more or less than God itself expressing. And in that knowing, I am so very grateful to know the truth of who I am, to know the truth of who you are, brings such joy and happiness. Radiating that love, that peace, that knowingness, that understanding is what life is all about. The connection between each and every one of us is the expression and connection of spirit interacting with itself. And so in this knowing, I have such great gratitude for the life of it. The capital IT. All of life is nothing but it expressing. So in that gratitude and in that knowing, I release my word as law, knowing it is done perfectly right here and right now. And together we say, and so it is. Ooh, I tell you what, people, the past 48 hours has been unbelievable. There has been such a dynamic range of emotions. I know for the six of us, I can speak and contest to that. And today, you will bear witness to that excitement that we each have. Today is Cheryl's day that we're going to be, and she is going to be leading us in the law of cause and effect.
My day.
But first, are you muted, Cheryl? You pulled a Cheryl on me. Almost fell for it. Anyway, oh, you were so funny. Anyway, we were going to start today in talking about insightful books that we've had, but we all decided that because of what happened yesterday with the panels that we've been taking for this entire week, what happened with us yesterday is very important and I think is very insightful. And so we'd like to be able to share that with you right here and now. And so I guess I'll start off, since today, Cheryl, it's your day. Let's start off with you.
We're starting with Gail.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Gail.
Okay, thank you, William. So good morning, everyone. My name is Gail Morton, And as William indicated, yesterday, 18 people, which included all 6 of us, all of which I have truly grown to love and to admire and to honor, we all completed our ministerial talks. And this is a requirement for successfully completing our ministerial panels. So what we decided that we would love to do this morning is to share our experience of that with each and every one of you. So as I reflected upon my experience this morning and then sharing it with you, what this really meant for me is that yesterday what I witnessed was truly the power of this teaching called the science of mind. And what I mean by the power of this teaching is I really witnessed 3 things. I witnessed within all 18 people spiritual transformation. I experienced authentic expression of self and expansion into higher consciousness, not by one, but by all 18. Each talk truly was amazing. And for me, it was the best day ever. And you see, I was one of the 18. And as a ministerial candidate myself, what I truly witnessed was the absolute power of spiritual community. Yes, I did a pulpit talk myself. But what I realized is that this day, this event was not about a piano solo. It was really the experience of a true symphony. So there's many paths for this journey. And what I do know is that no one travels alone. And transformation and authenticity and expansion into a higher consciousness, all that I experienced yesterday within each and every person, begins and is supported through spiritual community. And yes, it's true, each and every ministerial candidate had to do their work. And equally important, their work was deeply supported by their ministerial training community, all of us, which not only included Dr. James, Dr. Joe, Reverend Charles, all of our mentors, but it included each of us because we walked hand in hand supporting each other on the path. So as I was inspired by each talk, one of my favorite Eric Butterworth quotes kept running through my head. Don't go through life, grow through life. And there are so many different journeys, and through ministerial school is not the path for everyone. We can't become what we need to be by remaining what we are. And at some point over those 2 years, each of us, including myself, at varying places and at varying times, stepped out on the cliff. We took a leap of faith and we embodied who we truly are. And that was with the support of our spiritual community. And so I guess my final thought for you today on my experience is if we can all do it, you can too. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Dale. I'd love to hear your experience, Dale.
It was phenomenal. It was just totally touched my heart, the whole thing, unexpected. There were many things that I took away from it. First of all, every single person brought their A game and inspired from the depth of their soul. And it was so beautiful. We were there from 12 to like 6. Well, we left at 8:30 because we had a dinner afterwards. But I mean, just hours of these phenomenal speakers. Everybody was just alive in who they were. And it was beautiful to see how people have grown, like what Gail was saying. For me personally, I had quite an interesting shift and an expansion, and I had a feeling that was going to happen. But Lori and I were talking before we even began in the downstairs area, and Lori had that look in her eyes, and she goes, I am jumping off today. If not now, when? Now's the time. I'm going to just trust. I'm not going to think about. I'm not going to try and plan anything. I'm just going with it. She goes, are you going to do that too? And I looked at her and I'm like panic, going, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I've got my notes on my iPad. I like my safety blanket, as Cheryl would say, my binky. And I thought, oh my God, I don't know if I'm ready to step into that. But man, she charged me with it. And so when we went back to the sanctuary, ready to begin, I just started getting like this divine download of you can put your binky down. You can do this. Dr. James has told me in class that I should trust myself, that I can do it. I've shown up, go for it. And what was really interesting is I had a talk that was all arranged. And I kept elements of it, but I just allowed that greater knower within me to take over. And something that was very interesting as I was sitting there, I was compelled to start my talk with a prayer, kind of an Emma Curtis Hopkins thing. And I don't know where that came from, but I started with that. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life right here and right now. And the talk just went where it went. And I was so proud of myself because I felt like I really finally crossed into ministry, because now I can just trust whatever comes up. I don't need the notes. I don't need the quotes. Just go for it. And what was really interesting to me is Dr. James told me afterwards, and I think he told everybody, that his daughter passed away in a tragic accident, that like our third week into ministerial training. It was a really big part of our training because it allowed us to watch him walk through this, and we were all so inspired by that. But he told me that that's what he said when he got the news she was in the accident. He went to that prayer, and I knew it was her talking to me because it came out of nowhere. It was just like, you're starting your talk with this, and just go. So it was just such a special, the whole day. It was just one of those experiences that are, you just know you're in something very rare and very special. And to be in this container with people that have that high consciousness, that are holding that knowing. We had 20 some people there that were vibrating at that level. And I felt like we were just living in this whole other reality that was so lovely and wonderful and filled with love. And I just, I think we're all kind of just still bubbling and vibrating in that resonance. And the understanding to me is that it doesn't have to stop with that. I know how we all are, that we're bringing that consciousness to all of you and to our individual lives, because this is the consciousness for all of us to be able to live into, because it's that God consciousness that we have within ourselves. So I could go on, and I'm not. So I'm going to just end it there. And I love my brothers and sisters, because the Sensational Six, this is just the beginning of what we're going to be doing collectively and individually. And so I'm just so excited that we're here to be leaders of something that's great and magnificent that is coming through all of us. So I'm not sure who goes next. Is it Lori that I pass it to? Brad? Go, Brad.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Great sharing, Dale. For almost 2 years, we've been taking this class online, majority of us, and the office where the class was held was in the LA area. And majority of the time, majority of us six would go online to do it. And obviously in the last few months, we all had to be online. So for me, just coming together in community, there was only 23 people in the sanctuary, the seats 250, and so we all had social distancing, and we had a wonderful dinner afterwards. We're all social distancing and very specific ways of how we talked, but just the coming together and being there. And if you haven't heard our talks and our fellow students' talks, either through Facebook or at least Global Truth Center's website, globaltruthcenter.org, to look at them, but to sit in the room with all of these amazing, conscious, loving, powerful people, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. It was just so rich. I got chills thinking about it with God bumps. It was so amazing to get it one after the other. And my personal experience, it's been a long time since I created more than 4 or 5 minutes to share in a talk. And driving over there, I was still feeling nervous in the morning. And I had all the components, and like all of us, right? We probably had hours of what we were going to say in our head. We had pages of notes that we wrote, threw away. Do you see the heads nodding in here? And I said, I know the pieces, but they're just not like, the way I'd like it. And I've been speaking publicly for a long time, so it wasn't that kind of nervous. So I pulled over and called my practitioner because they were waiting for my call. And I'm off the side of the road on the freeway. And the first thing they said was, well, have you consciously handed it over to the God within you? No, but I have now that you've mentioned it to me. And just in that reminder, I felt this huge breath. So they do a prayer to ingrain that or remind me of that part. So besides having amazing talks to listen to, that one hit of all the time, there's a power and presence within me, and hand it over to that which is within me that isn't Brad, because there's so much more than just Brad. So I think Cheryl's next.
Hi, I unmuted. That's been a running joke. For 2 years, I was the person that would just start talking without unmuting. And so everybody was always saying, unmute Cheryl, unmute Cheryl. So yesterday I started my talk by walking up on stage with a microphone and just started moving my lips like I was talking, and William yelled out for me, unmute Cheryl. So everybody got the joke, but it was one of those days that when you look back on it, it was so rich and so full that you think, wow, what was the best moment? Every one of them was. I mean, and you're always, I don't know, I was sitting out there going, oh, I'm just holding the consciousness of everyone just being in their A game, or just being their absolute best. And I'm holding this up inside of me. And I didn't need to. They already brought their A game. It was just like, I have never, ever experienced where everybody there was fabulous. I mean, you couldn't just pick out one thing that was great. But I'd also like to add a disclaimer, because in my talk, which was on the living in victimville, so I said that Reverend Laura at the time, but now Dr. Laura, had bitch slapped victimhood out of me. And she actually said, I didn't actually bitch slap you, I just spiritually bitch slapped you. I go, okay, and now I've said the bitch word 4 times. No, but anyway, but that's basically what it was. Practitioner training was the start of this journey. And yesterday we got to see the results. And it's just like we were like, I think it was Dale or Gail, I don't know. Anyway, one of us said that Reverend or Dr. James had lost his daughter 3 weeks into it. And the one thing that really inspired me about this entire class was I expected, after hearing this, that we would be either shut down or be a month or 2 before, got himself together. He came back a week later and he walked the spiritual truth of what he was teaching us. And he inspired me so much because he remained in principle. He didn't just fall apart. I'm sure he did, don't get me wrong, but he, I'm sure he was sad and everything, but he remained in principle. And that to me was what inspired me so much through this whole journey, just seeing him walk in the walk. It was absolutely beautiful. And all of the people that were there, all of my classmates, I love each and every one of you. It was, I mean, there was so much love in that room. We could have been a Hallmark card yesterday. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Lori and let her tell us her experience.
Oh, well, I thought I had leaked out all the cosmic consciousness I could yesterday. You'd think there'd be nothing left. And I use that term because the night before our talks, Reverend Dr. Angelo from the Emerson Institute came and spoke to us. And he was pure love and pure inspiration. And he called tears cosmic consciousness. And just that emotion coming out. So I pretty much spent these 6 hours in tears, but tears of joy and tears of connection and pride and just that we all rose and shone together as one incredible unit, which of course we are. For me, what really came up is one of my teachers way back said, you can never take somebody past the point that you have gone yourself. And I took that to heart. And I realized Dr. James has given us just an incredible example of that. I've watched him go through stage 4 cancer, the loss of his daughter. That man never, ever, ever steps off principle. He is never not walking the talk. And that to me is what I aspire to. And yesterday was that crossing the threshold. That was Dale's talk title, right, Dale? And I just got it. It was time to step out of my littleness and to know who I was and to hop up on that stage. And anybody knows me knows I've had terrible stage fright and anxiety in the past. And I did not shake for a second. I did not forget who I was for a second. And that experience was profound for me. And the reason it was profound wasn't about me. It was about now the ripple effect I can have, the connection I can have with others, because I can never take you past the point I've gone myself. And so it is incumbent on me. It is mandatory. It is non-negotiable that I walk this talk in every area of my life to the best of my ability. And what I saw was 18 students become teachers, become masters, become ministers, and to witness that transformation, there really isn't words to sum that up. So I'm just going to pass it on to William before I start leaking cosmic consciousness.
I've now come to terms with that, and I'm going to start calling it holy water, because all it is just the true essence of God extruding out of yourself as tears. So that's now holy water. Oh my gosh. Today was a day that I could have never imagined in my life. And now I'm starting to tear up. It was really something special. Not only was it amazing to see the transformation and the power that every single one of us showed yesterday and to be a part of that, but it was amazing to know that I actually had that within myself. And that's part of what we are doing here as a Sensational Six with you on Wednesdays, is to enlighten you, to have you realize and re-know the truth about yourself. Through our experiences, we hope to give insight and inspiration, but yesterday was a very powerful day. And it's funny to hear Lori and Gail, Dale, Cheryl and Brad, they all had their notes, and here they go, and they go up and just allow it to be. I had my talk title, which is Buckle Up Buttercup. I had to start off that way. Anyone who's been to our center knows the relationship that I have with that statement, and it's just that. It was a wonderful ride yesterday, to have and know and trust the universe and for myself to be in that flow of consciousness, to have such words come out of my mouth that I have no clue where they come from. You can't consciously think these words in your mind. They come out too fast. It's just it is truly a download from that spiritual, the ethereal into form. And it just gives me such respect and honor for life itself now. Not only my life, but everyone's life, all life. Not just human life, but my dog, who's panting in my lap now because he wants to be petted. It's plants, it's materials, it's everything. To understand that everything is nothing but spirit in action. I am ready for this journey, as I know that we all are. And I am so honored to be a part, to be 1/6 of this group. Actually, it's more, because it truly is more than just 6 of us. It's Jeff, it's Trey, it's everyone here. It is nothing less than spirit coalescing upon itself to manifest this moment right here and right now. And I'm just, I am on such a high. I am just so full of love right now. So with that, our day is to talk about the spiritual law of cause and effects. And laws themselves, just a recap, that is the mechanics of how spirit goes from ethereal into form. And we, as conscious spiritual beings, are always connected to that. Not access, but always connected. And so through these laws and through us talking about these laws, we want to cultivate a deeper understanding of the spiritual self that is in each and every one of you, to where you can harness that power that we've all talked about right here and right now. You do have, unbeknownst to yourself, covered up with whatever stuff, whatever belief system that you've created about yourself, that gets stripped away right here and right now. The true self is coming and is forming and has always been within you. And through these laws and understanding how these principles and laws work allows you to now, instead of just flowing with life without a rudder or a paddle, you are now directing your life. And so I'd like to turn it over to Cheryl right now so that she can start us off with the spiritual law of cause and effect. Cheryl, thank you so very much.
Thank you, William, and thank you, everyone. Gosh, that was so beautiful. It was great. Okay, the law, like William started to allude to, or what he alluded to, was that there are spiritual laws, but there's also laws that are physical laws, like the law of gravity, the law of energy. It cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. And the law of cause and effect is based on the first consciousness of spirit or God or whatever you want to call it. It's the first cause. And when we say that, it's because even in every Bible, every teaching, everything, there's always, even in the Vedas, as far back as 7,000 years ago, they spoke about the fact that the first breath was the consciousness. And then what God wanted, or spirit or energy wanted to do, was to create, manifest diverse energy from this one source into manifest being so that spirit could enjoy itself. We are the action. Spirit is the thought and the cause. We are all connected to this one mind. And so through cause and effect, and through creating us as individual expressions of God, we are governed by exactly the same law of cause and effect. So basically, from Spirit's point of view, we are effect, but not really. We are actually part and whole part of the whole part of everything you see. And so cause and effect is working in our lives every second of the day, whether you are aware of it or not. So what you're thinking is causing an effect in your life. And it's hard to understand that. You don't have to understand this teaching to be governed by this law. It's like you don't have to understand how gravity works to be governed by that law. You're going to stick to the planet. You're not going to float off into space. And so it is another law, but we have a tendency in our thinking to really see the physical laws, but we have a more difficult time understanding the spiritual laws at times. And so what we're trying to do is to move from cause to effect. So what are you creating? What effect is appearing in your life? Are you experiencing this or that or whatever? Have you ever heard somebody say, I thought that's how it was going to be, and that's exactly how it turned out? Well, guess what? You thought it, you created it, and here it is. It's in your life. So where do you want to live your life? What causes do you want to appear in your life? And you say, well, I can't help what I think. That's not true. Trained thought is a lot more powerful than untrained thought. And it's just like William was saying, some of that stuff that we're dragging along with us, that we're taking with us everywhere we go from our past. Somebody said something about me and now I absolutely believe it. And, all of these things that we are dragging along with us are continuing to create effects in our lives. So it's a matter of, if it takes forgiveness, whatever it is, looking at whatever this belief is that you're carrying around that's creating the causes in your effect. If you believe you're always going to be poor, boom, you get it. And that's the way that the law works. Whatever you put into it, you're going to get out of it. It's that simple. And so just start thinking about, how are you thinking? What are you dragging along with you? Where's the effects coming from that are in your life? Well, guess what? You don't get to blame anyone else. It's yours. You created it. Now live with it. That's not the case. You can always go back and change your thinking and change your thoughts. And it sounds so simple, but we get into habitual thinking at times. And that's what we call, when we continue to think about something or believe something, and it keeps appearing in our lives, so we start thinking it's true. But what we're doing is actually, on addition to the first cause and effect, we keep creating secondary cause. In other words, we keep creating the same thing over and over again because of what we're thinking about and what we're doing in our lives. And so you just have to stop and, even if, there's ways of making yourself, when you see yourself going to that habitual thinking, some people use a rubber band and pop their, but you do not have to live there. That is your choice to live there. You can change your life at any moment in any way that you want to. Now we have what also is called, oh God, y'all are going to love this, involution and evolution. That was one of those things in class that was like bantered around and told so many times. But involution is the first thought. That is what creates the cause, is involution. And then evolution is how it unfolds in your life. And it's the time, it's the process, it's whatever. So when you do a treatment, it's already done. That cause is already there. But it unfolds as it should, naturally, in the divine right order. But so look around yourself and see, what are you creating in your life? What is the effect that you are feeling the most in all four pillars of your life? What is the belief that you have about your relationships? What is the beliefs that you have about this or that? And you keep getting those beliefs. You think this is the truth because they keep getting reinforced, but that is not the case. You are just continuing to create the same thing over and over again. And that's what secondary causation is. But, cause and effect is also like the creative process. It is the creative process, basically. You have the thought, the seed, you put it into the soil, which is, the unconscious or subjective mind, and then it creates. There's the body. And so I really hope that you will stop and think and look at your beliefs and look at what you're thinking about. Just stop sometimes and say, what am I thinking about? What's going on in here? And you will see that, yes, everything is unfolding just exactly like you're thinking, good or bad, it doesn't matter. So stop and look and see what you want in your life and how you're causing it and what effects that you would like to have in your life. And it all comes from right here. Are there any questions or anything? Or add-ons, please?
I'd love to add on to what you just said, Cheryl. That was just a great, great explanation of the law of cause and effect. And I really, really appreciate it. When Cheryl began, she talked about the fact that these laws are mechanical. And that's true. I mean, the law of cause and effect has its mechanics, as all of these laws do. And the mechanics are, this is a creative universe, period. The universe is incessantly and progressively creating, and the law is always operative. So whatever we embody, whatever we believe ourselves to be, is mechanically what shows up in our lives, because the law of cause and effect is always, always at work. But once we understand it, these are the mechanics, this is how it works, what does it really mean to me? So what it really means to me is that life is not built upon accidents. It's not built upon chance. It's not built upon luck. There's no victims in working with the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect is all about freedom. It's all about choice. It's all about the dynamics of free choice, examining how we consciously and unconsciously, as Cheryl said, choose what we experience, and then how we feel on a daily basis. And what really speaks to me about the law of cause and effect, it is truly the way that we experience God or the divine.
Beautiful.
I'd also like to add on to the opening statement that Cheryl did about law of cause and effect. When you realize that where you are, if it's a place that you're not exactly happy with, don't beat yourself up about that. First and foremost, forgive you. Forgive yourself of, for lack of a better word, the ignorance of your relationship with this law of cause and effect. There's nothing to be feeling bad about yourself. Just know that where you are is a product of your previous thoughts. And since law is just the mechanics of spirit, and spirit is nothing but love, love yourself, forgive yourself for those previous misaligned thoughts, and create that new reality. Because in an instant, your life changes, because there's a change of consciousness within your own self. And it starts with that spark, along with the emotion of gratitude and love and acceptance. So allow yourself and forgive yourself for what transgressions you may have caused to yourself. And just know that it perfectly unfolds, and right here and right now is the new truth about yourself. I believe that Dale has to follow up there. But I do want to say, for those of you who are listening, please ask us questions. We are so open and wanting to share everything that we have within inside of us. So please ask those questions. So go ahead, Dale. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say thank you, Reverend William. I guess I will be saying that as of Friday. Oh, wow. And William, I'm really glad you brought that up about being kind to yourself, because I know, especially if people aren't really used to what we're talking about, there's a tendency to go, wow, I'm to blame for everything, and it can go into this spiral downward. And I love bringing just both William and Gail together. This is just mechanical. We're just teaching you how this universe works, how we use the law of mind to create our life. We're just waking you up to your power, really. And not to feel overwhelmed with, God, my life is so screwed up in so many ways. Where do I even begin? Just relax, relax. And first, know who you are. I think everything starts, and what we've been taught by our beloved Dr. James, step one is know who you are, that you are the allness of the universe, that you are the spirit in form, and that you have all the power to create the most magnificent life possible. And get used to knowing that about yourself, because that's going to break open all of this goodness to come into your life. We have to get to that place where we get who we are, and that we're open and receptive to allowing that divine creative energy to express in the most wonderful ways possible. And I think my guidance is just, pick one thing first. Pick one thing in your life. Is it a health issue? Is it money? Just pick one and start there, and start to examine what your beliefs are around money. A lot of times we inherit it from our childhood. If we lived in a family where lack was really present, and we were always told there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough. Guess what? Your consciousness is always going to say there's not enough, and there's not enough, and you're going to experience that. So pick one thing and do a little work around it, or work with a practitioner, start reading, and you'll start the process of unhooking from those old causes, as Cheryl said, and bring in new effects that are joyful and wonderful to experience.
So I'm going to suggest that you pick something that's working in your life to focus on, to find, there's always something. And I think probably for this audience, there's a lot of something. Pick something that's working, that you can engage with and focus on, and then just watch it expand. And those things that aren't working will just shrink back. You know, we say there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. A matter of fact, you are using it right now. You can't help but use it, and you are it. That one understanding that it's always operating. I talked a little bit yesterday in my talk about Einstein saying there's only one fundamental choice we make in life. And I love that he used the word choice. It's really a belief, but he uses the word choice because it can always be changed. And he said we decide whether or not we live in a fundamentally friendly universe or a random universe. And what we know in this teaching is the universe is not random. It is mathematically precise. Everything, the first principle is order. Order and harmony, there is one, and it works perfectly in every situation. And once you get that, then you can start to use it deliberately. I think, Ernest Holmes talked about what shows up in our lives, those effects, those objective forms, are a reflection and are caused by our relationship to the infinite. I read that the other day, and I thought, boy, that's in alignment with what Einstein said. They were saying the exact same thing. You need to make a choice as to where you live. Does the universe support you? Absolutely. It says yes. As you wish. Somebody's talk yesterday was as you wish. I love that. Everything we say, we say, and so it is, but I like, and as you wish. There is a law that is in service to us. Oh my goodness. Imagine that. It is in service to us. It brings to us everything we ask for and everything we are equal to. So it's not just about asking, but it's about being in alignment with our ask. So you may notice where you're out of alignment, and one of the ways you can notice that is by asking questions. One of the questions I asked yesterday was, what must I believe in order to experience this? So find that belief. And then, is there a more interesting belief? Maybe you'll find one and you go, oh my God, I love that belief. I am so keeping that. That is in service to me. And that can happen just as easily. But if you find something that, I'm not really liking the result here, then just notice it and shift your attention to a more interesting belief, one that lines up with what you actually desire. And the law will say, as you wish.
Brad, would you like to add anything?
Okay. You'd think there wouldn't be a pause, like there's a minister that's pausing, wanting to talk. Here's a thought that came to mind. I'm going to share my 2 cents on using the law of cause and effect. But when I made the comment about what a minister doesn't want to talk, my former wife was and is a minister, and we were married 15 years. We were together about 18 years or so. And our son, when he was 4 or 5, we were in the sanctuary at one time at the church she was at, where she was the minister at. And he got up on stage. He goes, "Look, I'm mom." And then he said, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." And that's just been a family joke for years about that's what he thought ministers do, blah, 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 blah. For me, what I'm always using it for myself and sharing with clients and students is the law of cause and effect. So how do I fix something? How do I change something? And I look at the effect and I say, clearly, I don't want that. All right. So then I go through my list of what the qualities of God are: abundance, peace, wholeness, health, love, serenity. What are the descriptions I use? One word of what God is. And so if I want the effect in front of me to be different, what is it I do want? and which of those one words would I want to show up in that effect? And when I pick, you know what, it looks like it's money, but it's really just not peace. There's the cause. So we do a prayer for cause in our finances, and that's how we can change that effect. And I think that someone taught me that years ago, and that little simple step is just really clean for me. Find the cause. What's the quality of spirit I want to do? All right, I'm going to know and believe and see and feel that within the effect that I desire. We have any questions yet?
We do. We just got one. The question is, where do I begin? Has always been a thought that seems so big. And so it is, I might add. That is cause right there, that statement. So that's where we can begin. And I just put it away and it comes up later. Even pick one is almost overwhelming. Oh boy, I can kind of start off this one because that is kind of the dance I did for a very long time, the pick one, and not picking one because choosing a direction, I wanted to go so many different ways. And it is practice. It really is. We read the book, The One Thing. I highly recommend that. And I think sometimes we do not pick because we think we can make a mistake. We're afraid to pick the wrong thing. So just choose the next thing. That thing this person asked keeps coming up for them. Pick that one and focus on it. Commit to it for the next 30 days, that will be your one thing that you focus on, and then break it down into small, sweet steps. Listen to your heart. Your heart will tell you what to do. It's not about our head, it's about our heart, because when we let our heart fuel our journey, then it's full of joy, and then we can't wait to demonstrate and to work with it and to sit with that one thing. We get excited about it, but we get into our heads and we think, oh, it's big, and or I can't, or all that stuff that comes up. Let it be there. Just notice it and then say, nevertheless, and move on. So that's my answer to that question. Would anybody else like to?
I will. Well, one of the things about, picking that first thing is that when you look at your life and you become aware, that's the thing right there. That's where the first step started. You became aware that you wanted something different in your life. I mean, that sounds like kind of trite, but it's kind of like an awakening that you're ready to step up and do something about, take responsibility, which is basically what this teaching is. It's being responsible for what's occurring in your life. And so it's taking that first step, like Lori said. And even if it's little baby steps, and even if you feel like you step back a day, but it's still on the journey. And to be enlightened enough to be aware that there is a problem, that was the first step. You're aware of what's going on. And from there, you can do anything. It's just becoming that awareness and that opening up of your heart to know that there's something better out there. And that's why you're starting on this journey. You want what is best. You want and that's what God wants for us too. Only the best, only love, only goodness. And so start that journey. It's a little terrifying. And yes, it might, and you don't know how it's going to appear. You think this is the outcome I want, but why don't you just let it go and let God, once you put it out there, once you know which direction you're going in, allow it to unfold in God's time and in God's way, because God has infinite possibilities that can, much better than what we can think of. So why am I directing? Why am I saying this is the only way it can turn out? This is the perfect way. But just know, just starting the journey and letting it unfold, you'll just see the magnificence of it. It's absolutely beautiful.
I'm going to piggyback on you, Cheryl, and I'm going to steal from Gail's talk yesterday as well. I see two things that are really important here. First, and I'll always go back to this, is knowing who you are, because we can get so caught up in, I need to fix this. I need to fix this. This isn't working. I'm going to do the spiritual work, but it's not working. And Gail spoke beautifully yesterday about, and Gail, that visual that you did holding the ball just really stuck with me. She talked about, how we just hold so tightly and it just, our whole body constricts and nothing can get in. And she talked about the beauty and the grace of letting it go. Because when we let go, we can let that divine intuition guide us to the solutions, to being able to bring forth whatever is allowing us to bring a cause in that will bring forth whatever it is we're wanting to have in our life. So for me, I see it in the great surrender of it and being intuitively guided, and to continue to deepen your spirituality. That really, it's kind of like the grease and the cogs of this whole law of cause and effect. The deeper you get your spirituality, the greater you will be able to utilize this law of cause and effect effectively for yourself.
I'd like to share just one thought, piggybacking on what Lori said, because I think it's so important. And that's that many times we're afraid to take that next step forward or to make that choice because we're afraid of making a mistake. And please know that this is a universe of order and balance. And in a universe of order and balance, there are no mistakes. What you perceive as a mistake is simply the next step forward in your journey. So please consider thinking of it that way. There are no mistakes. There's just that next step forward in your journey.
That's great, Gail. To follow up on that, we talk about the universe, the spirit, the law, the thing itself. And we know that we are its action. We are the expression of God. So how can the universe be anything less than supportive? It can't do anything but support itself. So when you can understand and come from it from that point of view, the worry and the fear of it not coming to fruition or not being supported, those are race conscious thoughts. And just allow those to, like Gail did with the ball, let it go. You are the expression of spirit. It is always going to support itself. And since what you put into thought goes into law, and the natural sequential order of life unfolds and becomes the effect. Anything else?
Brad, it may be time to close us out.
Somebody asked us to say again the book I mentioned, and it is The One Thing is the name of the book.
Unmute, Brad. You're pulling a shirt.
Come on, Cheryl.
Anybody else have one last thing we need to do to you really want to share before we wrap up? Cool. So hey Trey, if I could ask us to have gal review at this time. So I really want to thank Swing Point Media and today's technician Trey for doing an amazing job of balancing questions and answers behind the scenes and everything else. And he's going to put us all our faces up there because I'm going to want the audience to see us all together and look at our names in just a moment. Every morning at 10 a.m., your community, Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert, has an amazing sharing and broadcast. And tomorrow is going to be Dr. Joe having a discussion and a mini concert with Daniel Nahmod, who's just, we know how awesome he is in that experience. On Friday at 10 a.m., it's Dr. Joe and Reverend Charles sharing their insights and wisdom for living today. And on Saturday, we have a guided meditation by one of us. And so we've been now assigned to facilitate the guided meditation. So you get to check in at 10 a.m. and listen to that. And those are available also afterwards. So remember, all that information is at csl.org, cslpalmdesert.org. You can also call or email the office. So I want you to see all the people's names that if you ever needed our support for any kind of prayer request. Also, we want to remind you that we're doing to support this service and community as a love offering. Here's a little statement. I'll go and post this on our Facebook later on. Hey, Trey, could I get gal review if it's possible? I'm not reading the chats, just so you all know. I'm busy doing other something. So our phrase today that I thought was great was, I'm abundant and grateful for what I receive from my spiritual community, and I give from my grateful heart. And in so doing, I remind myself how abundant God is through me. So when you click that donate button, we're going to know that, and you can know that for yourself of, oh my gosh, I get so much joy and amazingness from here. And connect with any of us or any of our practitioners or community if you want any of the topics that were discussed here to be experienced and ingrained within you at any kind of deeper level. Great. Anybody have any comments, additional announcements they want to share?
I just want to share a comment that came in for all of us. You are all such amazing expressions of spirit. I thank each one of you for choosing to be a minister in your lives and at CSL Palm Desert. I look forward to hearing so much more from each of you. And Linda also said that she was just in tears earlier listening to all of us. So I wanted to share that with all of you. We appreciate the support from the community beyond words.
That was sweet. That was sweet. Thank you. Thank you to all of my fellow reverends and colleagues for joining us today. Very, very rich. So thank you. So why don't we just take the time and remind ourselves of what we know and feel as we close this time in session, knowing that life continues to expand. As we close this gathering this morning, knowing the infinite presence as each of us individually and as all of us collectively continue to spread and feel and express and know that individualized experience of God as love, God as peace, God as joy, God as abundance flows from this place, this person, this community out into the world as light, love, peace, and joy. That this process and this experience continues to do that. For in this moment, as we have spoken and felt it, we have directed the law to take this word and make it so. And great gratitude for the truth of this as our life, as this life, as a life of the center and the life of this planet. I give grateful thanks. And so we let it be, and so it is. Amen. Thank you all for joining us. Maybe we'll all see you somehow tomorrow morning at 10. Take care.
Definitely.